Hey, we're in a series on Jesus. And we'll be talking about Jesus as we lead up to Easter this month. Man, we are so excited about Easter at the end of the month. I'm excited for who you're bringing. And so bring that family member and your friend. And man, I think so often people will come if they're invited. And research shows that. And it's just shown that people are just waiting for an opportunity, an invitation. And so who are you gonna bring? Who are you gonna sit with at Easter? And to be planning for that. And to just see what God does as you take a step of faith. I bet God's gonna do something as you open that door and are willing to just step out. Also, at this service, it's gonna be so busy. If you don't bring someone, we invite you to join us at a different service time. We need your seat at this service. If you don't bring someone, come earlier or watch online, because we need your seat at this service. And it's gonna be a really great Easter season. But I'm talking about Jesus over the next few weeks. And today I wanna focus on a thought that I think many of us want to live the life God called us to live. We're not living in rebellion. We're not living in hesitation. Some of us, unfortunately, are living in confusion. We would do what God told us to do if we just knew it. You know what I'm talking about? Anyone else ever feel like, God, I'll do it, tell me what to do? That's just a me issue. None of you feel that way. Quiet third service up in here. I feel like many of us are like, listen, I'll follow God. Man, I'm at church. I love Jesus. I'm all about, but sometimes I just don't know what to do. And so if he were to tell me, I'm down. I just don't know what to do. I'm not living in rebellion. I'm just living in confusion. We got to figure out the course that God's called us to live. Hey, throw this picture up for me. Mia's going to throw a little map up. What's the most important parts of directions? One, you gotta know where you're going, but you also gotta know where you're going from. So this is the middle of the country. They're in Kansas. But you can't tell me how to get to the middle of the country until you know where you're leaving from. You see, the directions, if you were coming from Seattle, are significantly different than the directions if you're going from Florida. See, just because you know the destination, I want to serve God, but if you don't know where you're starting from, you'll have zero idea how to get there. See, the directions are completely different from California there than they are from Washington there. And if you're going from New York, whole change of it. The scenery is different. The experience is different. The timing is different. Why? Because where I am plays just as big of a part as where I'm going. Y'all can take it down. Y'all remember those when the iPhone first came out? We were all pumped about it. Praise the Lord. Mark of the beast. I'm just kidding. We weren't like that. And when you got one, you were like, oh my goodness. I remember sitting with my sister, I was like, look at Google Earth. We get to zoom in on your phone. You have music on your phone. Like, this is crazy. And you would use it for directions. You could have, Google's on it. But the thing that it didn't have yet, now maybe y'all didn't have one of these first ones, or just forgot. And we, just spoil quick, but the first ones didn't have the current location. Didn't have GPS on it. So it didn't know where you were. Now that might have been a good day, now they're just tracking us everywhere. Just kidding for all you conspiracies out there. But when you got directions, you had to enter where you were and where you wanted to go. And then every time you took a turn, you had to swipe to the next direction. It wasn't following you, so it wasn't turn left here. No, it wasn't tracking with you. You had to move it along yourself. So me and my sister, we're going on a road trip with one of the original iPhones. And we're driving to Arizona from here. And I had driven the majority of the drive. In fact, let's say all of the drive until this point. We're in mid-California. And I said, listen, coming up soon, because she was like, let me just drive for a little bit. I was like, okay, coming up soon, we're going to get off the freeway and we're going east. We're heading towards Arizona. So just watch for this freeway, go east. We switch seats, I get a coffee, I'm reading for a little bit. About an hour, I look up, and I'm like, how come I still see the ocean? Ocean should be behind me, not beside me. I should be going east. Ocean should be back here. She's like, what are you talking about? I was like, did you miss the freeway? She's like, what freeway? And I was like, the one turn. I just asked you to do one turn. She's just, cruising. She was crushing the music game. She's hanging out and chatting, but she missed so we pull over. And I'm like, okay, we gotta find where we are. Because before I can know where to go, I gotta know where I am. So we're zooming in, looking at street signs, looking at street names, and we're like, okay, here we are, now restart directions. And then we figured out the next turn to take. However, I had to know where I am to know where I needed to go. Where are you right now? See, many of us come to God and we're like, God, what's the plan and the purpose for my life? What do you have for me? What's my calling? And God could give you the answer. The problem is you wouldn't know where to go because you don't know where you are. You could be like, great, let's go to Kansas. But what if you're in Florida? Directions are going to be different for you. And many of us keep saying, God, I want my destination. He's like, yeah, but I first need your location. So directions mean nothing if you don't know where to start. So I got to know where I am. I got to have A before I can get to B. In Luke 2, verse 49, here's, they're going to throw it on the screens for us. It says, why did you seek me? Did you not know that I must be about my Father's business? This is Jesus, and he's 12 years old in the temple. In this moment, Mary finds him in the temple, and she's like, I lost you for 3 days. Where did you go? Now, I'm not saying I'm a better parent than Mary, but I've never lost Willow for 3 days. I'm just saying. Don't get mad. I'm not throwing shade at Mother Mary for some of y'all that got all upset about it. But she did lose the Lord for 3 days. I'm kidding. I'm not. She did lose him for 3 days. So she finds him. She's been looking for 3 days. Finally finds him. And his response, I love Jesus. He's 12. He got a little sauce, a little attitude in him. They're like, why were you even looking for me? Didn't you know I'm about my Father's business? 12-year-old, I've been like, listen, Willow, I'm about to give you this business, okay? Like I lost you. It's been 3 days. Yeah. We'd have been stressed. Why were you looking for me? Didn't you know I'm about God's business, my Father's business? This is the start of Jesus. It's the youngest we know of him. He was born, he's a baby around 2, the wise men find him. Fast forward, the next thing we know, he's 12 in the temple about his Father's business. The starting point for you in your life, you got to start right to get on the right direction. You got to start to have the right course. You got to get to get your directions right, you have to know where A is. And this is the start for all of us. The start for any and all of us is I'm about my Father's business. Now, I did not say to quit your job and become a pastor. I didn't say to quit your job and join them. I didn't say quit your job and apply to be on staff. No, that's not what this is saying. This is saying that apply his business to what you do. That whatever I do, I'm more about my Father's. So you can be a doctor about your Father's business. You can be a lawyer about your Father's business. You can be a stay-at-home mom and you're about your Father's business. You can be a student still about I'm about my Father's business and whatever I'm passionate about, whatever I'm called to, whatever I do on a daily basis, the first thing that I care about is making sure that today I'm about my Father's business. See, as Christians, you're not supposed to have bad Mondays. For you, Monday isn't, oh, here comes the rest of the week. No, for you, Monday is I'm about my Father's business today. I don't have bad days. I'm not going to give 1 day a week to complain about. I'm not going to throw away that much of my life. Every day, in all I do, I'm about my Father's business. What are you about? Truly, what are you about? Are you about money, success? raises, notoriety, fame, Instagram likes, respect in your family, what is it that you're about? And you see people start to fall apart anytime what they're about starts to fall apart. You see it in life. Men go through the midlife crisis. Why? Because they were expecting more in the midpoint of their life. And when they get there and it's not there, they fall apart. Why? Because that must have been what they were about the whole time. A parent falls apart when all the kids move out of the house, loses themselves. Why? Because apparently that's what they were more about than anything else. And so when they lose that, they start to lose themselves. You don't get the money, you don't get the fame, you don't get the success, you don't get the respect, and all of a sudden you start to have fear issues and doubt issues and pride issues and anger. Why? Because what you were about starts to erode, and it starts to hit your fears, and it starts to mess with your identity, and it starts to mess with your calling and your value and your self-worth. Why? Because what you're about is fragile. Now, see, you're supposed to be about your Father's business. When you make your practice about your Father's business, your company about your Father's business, your investments about your Father's business, your parenting like your Father, your marriage centered around your Father. When you make your life about God's business, that's something to build on. That will never erode. That'll never go through a bad economy. That'll never go through a bad political issue. That'll never go through a bad valley. When my life is about my Father's business, I'm built on something stronger. I'm built on something that'll last. That's where we're called to start from. I'm about my Father's business. In Luke 22, at the very end of this book, I'll throw this scripture up. It says, Father, if it is your will, take this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done. This is Jesus speaking to his Father in the Garden of Gethsemane the night before the cross. And Jesus is like, if there is any way that we could avoid this, let's do that. But nevertheless, not my will, yours be done. This is the destination that we're all headed towards. We start our course with, I'm about my Father's business. And we end our course, we end our journey with, it's not my will, it's your will be done. And if that is the A and the B of your life's journey, I promise between the two will be the most beautiful, creative painting that God could ever make called your life. He's gonna create a calling. He's gonna create life. He's gonna create experiences. He's gonna grow, and he's gonna handwrite the story of your life as long as the start of it is about my Father's business and the end of it is your will, not my will. The middle of it is gonna be so unique, so authentic, so original, so handmade for you. That's where we're headed, not my. See, I think a lot of us are gonna have the, if you could take this cup, go ahead and take it moment. Just make sure you don't put a period there. You leave a comma there. So you get to the, but your will be done. See, God's not afraid of you having doubts. He's not afraid of you having fears. He's not afraid of you having hesitation. It's the problem is when we stop there and go, God, I don't want to do this. And we just stop and leave. God's like, no, stay with me. Let's work through this. Let's do this together. Make sure that your fears never have periods. Say, but not my will, God. Let your will be done. Let your will be done in this family. Let your will be done in this marriage. Let your will be done in this business. Let your will be done in my giving. Let your will be done in my investments. Let your will be done in this moment. Let your will be done, God. When that's the destination that you're striving for in everything in life, you can live the life that you were created to live. Years ago, I hiked Rainier. And when we were coming down Mount Rainier, there was a group of us, and a storm came in, big old whiteout. We got stuck in this whiteout where you really couldn't see much more than 100 feet ahead of you. And so we would climb down, and then realized we took the wrong route and we'd be in this little crevasse and you had to climb up over a ridge to get to the next part of the mountain. Because it looks like it's just straight down. But when you're on the mountain, they have all these ridges all the way around the whole mountain. So while you're climbing down, if you take the wrong line, you have to climb up a little bit more. It's the most defeating thing you've ever done because you've already climbed the whole mountain and now we're climbing again because we walked down wrong. Oh my goodness. We added like 8 hours to the end. We were hiking for almost 25. We were over 24 straight hours of hiking in the second day. Chris is all mad because I'm like 8 hours late to checking in that, we're still alive and okay. And, but I remember in the middle of this storm, we've been on the mountain. We already hit the summit. We're exhausted and tired and frustrated. And I just want to be done. And where's the parking lot? And where's the car? I'm done. But we can't see, so we keep taking the wrong route and have to hike back up to retry and hike back up to retry. And one of the guys in the group said, we should just pull our tents out and stay here. I remember thinking, get behind me, Satan, I'm not doing that. I was like, listen, man, I'm gonna walk down, hit tree line, and turn left. I'm gonna find that parking lot if it's the last thing I do. I might walk around this entire mountain, but I'm not sleeping in the snow tonight. I think a lot of Christians today have found themselves stuck in a storm where they can't see the end. They can't see their destination. And they've changed their course and they've said, where I am is good enough. I'm no longer gonna get to where I've been called to go. I'm going where my vision has been. I'm no longer going where my hopes have been. I'm gonna give up. I'm gonna change the goalposts. I'm gonna move them to where I am because the storms of life have convinced me to just stay here. I pitched up camp. I no longer am gonna start that business because it's too far away. I no longer gonna finish my degree because this one class at night is just taking too long. I can't pull it off. I'm gonna give up on more kids. I'm gonna give up on my investment. I'm gonna give up on giving. I'm gonna move the goalposts because where I am is good enough. Too many of us have allowed storms to define our destination. Struggles to define our destination. Hardships to define our destination. We've said, I guess this is good enough. You got to keep fighting. That's not my will, it's your will. So if this is your will, I'm going to keep working. I'm going to keep walking. I'm going to keep believing. I'm going to keep fighting the fight of faith until I get to the destination that God has for me. You ever had a friend and he was learning, he was getting his pilot's license. So he would go up and he was got how to get all these hours in. And one of the things he showed me was that once you enter the autopilot, the plane will just start to fly that direction. Now, he had control of the plane, so he could change the course as long as he wanted. But the second he let go of that joystick, whatever the official term is, that thing went right back to autopilot. So if he set the autopilot for Florida, he could hold that gears and go to California as long as he wanted. But the second he let go, that plane just naturally starts to drift east until it gets back on course to its original destination. I think many of us today have already set our destination, but we said it when we were children. We said it when we weren't saved. We said it when we were living in fear. We said it when we were more greedy. We said it on a past life. And today we're trying to serve Jesus and we're holding that stick. We're like, I gotta follow Jesus, so I'm gonna tithe. But you've tithed for 2 or 3 months and you're like, oh, it's getting exhausting. And you give up and all of a sudden your life goes back to the lack of generosity. Maybe in your marriage, you got married before you were saved, and maybe you created some bad habits in your marriage, and you were often angry, and you were often shouting, you often go to bed upset. And you read that verse in the Bible says, don't let the sun go down on your wrath. And you're like, okay, we're gonna work through it every night. We're not going to sleep until we have peace in this home. And you've done it 3 nights in a row, and you haven't slept for 3 days, and you're like, screw it. We're going back to the old way. Or your old mindset was more about money and success. And so you're here and you're at church and you're trying to follow God and you're trying to live for others and you're trying to serve others and you're trying to say, listen, I don't want to be a husband and a father that only cares about the bottom line. I want to see people. I want to live in the moment. I want to lead my family well. And then hardship comes. And you take your hands off the wheel and it instantly shifts back to that autopilot destination. And you keep fighting to try to go the way that God's called you. You keep trying to worship. You keep trying to give. And you want to go to the life group and you want to serve. But then you get tired and you put your hands off and it instantly just reverts back to the old way. My question for you today is what or who set your destination? What's the destination in your life right now? Did you set it before you knew Jesus? Have you allowed an old parent, an old friend, maybe a past marriage set it and they had such an impact on your heart that you're still living your life to prove them wrong? And they have more impact on the destination of your life than you or Jesus do. That abuse, that pain, that loss, that greed. What is it that's impacting the destination that you're really going for? What really are you living your life for? Where are you really trying to get? Are you living a life that says, not my will, God, but your will be done? Let your will be done in my marriage. Let your will truly be done in my business. Let your will truly be done through me. Or is it, no, I want to follow God for a week or two and then I take my hands off the wheel and I revert back to my old ways. I go back to the way I used to do it and the way I was raised to do it and the way my family's done it all the time and the way politics say to do it, the way culture says to do it. There's two things that I think Jesus did in his life that modeled for us what we need to do to stay on course. To live a life that starts with, I'm about my Father's business, and ends looking at our Father in heaven saying, it's not my will, it's your will that I want to be done. I don't want my will. I don't want my fears to take lead. I don't want my doubts to take lead. I don't want my hesitation. I don't want my lack of faith and my lack of belief. No, I want your will to be done. To live a life that we were created to live. Jesus modeled for us two different things. The first thing Jesus did is he was very, very intentional in the people he did life with. It wasn't an accident who he was with. He lived a life of great purpose, and he had great purpose in who he lived his life with. He picked the disciples. Not only did he pick 12, he picked 3 within the 12 that were close, that would do life with him. We know from the word, we know from Jesus, we know from simple research and study that you're gonna become the average of the 5 closest friends you have. Their income, their attitude, their perspective, their voting, their ideals, their marriage health, their parenting health, their income level. You're going to average the 5 closest people in your life. So look at them, and if that's what they have and you like it, keep it. But if you don't like their marriages, if you don't like their parenting, if you don't like their future, if you don't like what you're seeing, either change your friends or change your standards, because that's what you're gonna get. Jesus was showing you can't live the life you're called to live with the wrong community in it. You gotta pick who you're doing life with. You gotta pick who you follow. You gotta pick the marriages that you emulate, the parenting you're following, the investments, the time, you gotta decide that I'm gonna do life this way. These people have the values I have. These people value their spouse the way I wanna value my spouse. You gotta pick your community well. Every week we're saying, get on the dream team, go through growth. You know that we're saying that not because we need more ushers and greeters. We've been doing this for 40 plus years, and I'm telling you the truth, whether you join the team or not, we're gonna keep doing it for 40 more years. Here's what I'm telling you. It's not that, we're gonna do church, but it's better stuff is coming, Russell. Save your claps. I'm not asking you to join the dream team for me. I'm asking you to join the dream team for you. It's not that we need more greeters, it's that you need more community. It's not that we need more ushers, although we would love for you to feel ownership and a part of the team. And we're working hard to make sure that there's a place for you on the team. But it's not a place for you for us. It's a place for you for you. You need better community. You need more people praying with you, believing in you, cheering you on. You need people that are going to cry when you hurt and celebrate when you're celebrating. You need people that are checking in like, hey, where were you this Sunday? How's the family? How's your kids? What are you going through? You need people in your corner cheering you on. You need people to build church and community and the kingdom of God with. This isn't a us issue. It's a you issue. We think you need this. And we think that you were created to be a part of what God is building. We want you to be planted in the thing God's growing. And second, the band can come onto the stage. Jesus was so focused on his community, the people he did life with, to stay on course. Second thing Jesus did, and I think we often breeze over, that we just go right over as we're reading our New Testaments, but I want us to slow down in this moment and catch that over and over and over and over through the New Testament, through all four Gospels, it says that Jesus would withdraw to be with his Father. Over and over and over, Jesus just kept withdrawing. He withdrew before he picked his 12 disciples. He withdrew right after he found out that his cousin John the Baptist was beheaded. He withdrew after doing miracles. He withdrew after preaching to large crowds. He would withdraw before sending the 12 of his disciples out 2 by 2 on a mission trip. He withdrew with his disciples after the 12 came back from their mission trip. He would withdraw before the garden, before the cross. He kept withdrawing over and over and over. And many of us think, oh yeah, that's just what Jesus did because he's God. No, I'm here to tell you, if Jesus as God needed time to withdraw, how much more do we need it? How much more do we need it? You need time with your Father. You need time withdrawing from culture, withdrawing from noise, withdrawing from what's burdened you, withdrawing from what you gotta find a way to withdraw. When you're gonna make a big decision, withdraw first. When something bad happens, withdraw first. When tragedy strikes, withdraw first. Find a way to be with God. Is my wife okay? Little Mahowski loves his mama. Just let him sing next time. You just bring him up and he'll lead worship. Over and over and over, Jesus would withdraw. I think many of us, the devil is attempting to make your life as fast and as noisy as possible because he knows that most of you won't mess your life up through sin. He can't get most of us, many of us. You're here, you're seeking God, you're at church, you love your family, you love Jesus. He knows that he can't get you to leave your spouse today. He knows he's not gonna get you to rob a bank today. You're not just gonna do something crazy. Like, yeah, you're not perfect. I get it. I'm not saying that you're perfect, but I'm saying that the devil knows that he's not gonna get you to have this major sin that ruins your life. But the play that's working right now in America, in our modern day, is to get you to live so fast and so noisy that you can't hear a whispering God. If God starts to talk, you'll never hear. You see, we serve a God that whispers. He's not gonna shout. He's not gonna demand attention. And the devil knows that if he can't get you to sin to mess your life up, he could just get you to speed it up too much. And so Jesus knew this, and he would withdraw and pray because he would never allow his pace or his noise levels to get so out of hand that he couldn't hear his Father's voice. And many of us are busy from the second we wake up. We wake up, we're on our phones, checking social media, checking email, watching our text messages, hitting people up. You're getting ready. You got a podcast on. You got some music on. You're getting the kids ready. You're getting breakfast ready. You're getting lunches packed, kids out of the door. On the way to work, you got your podcast on, your audiobook on, you got some music playing in the background. You get to work, you check your phone, you text your friends, you text your spouse, how's it going? Then you go get your coffee, you're working, then you check your emails again, you check your texts again, you social media a little bit, because God forbid you miss someone's post in the last 2 hours since you checked it last. And then you have lunch, you talk with your friends, you go to work, you go home from work, you turn your radio back on, you turn your podcast on, the audiobook, and this is all good stuff, and yet you're going, you get your kids from school, you go to basketball practice, you go to rehearsal, you go to music practice, you get them home, you eat dinner, put them down. Finally, you get a break only to turn your shows on for yourself and then go to bed and start it again. And when was God supposed to speak? When would you hear this? When are you aware enough for God to say that He loves you? If God told you He's forgiven you, will you ever hear it? He's with you. You see, too many of us are living so fast with so much noise that we'll simply never hear God. Because we're just going and we need more. And we become such consumers that not only are we consuming materials, now we're just consuming noise. And we need more content and more content and more tweets and more Instagram and more likes and more podcasts and more audiobooks and more documentaries and more and more and more and more. What is the more for? You know, can I challenge us that I think the most spiritual thing many of us could do in our life is to make our car drive to work a silent drive. I think that might be the most spiritual thing you could do this week. If it's a 10-minute drive or a 30-minute drive, if you just sit in your car in silence. I'm not even saying for you to pray. You shut up too. No noise. Just let God speak for a moment. Say, God, you got 30 minutes of my time. I'm not going to listen to anything. I won't check my phone. You have my attention. I will discipline myself to allow my soul to not need more until a quiet pace becomes my desire, so that I live my life at a pace and a volume in which I could hear the voice of God. Because the devil, he just wants you to do more and do more and do more and listen to more and consume more and be faster and check your phone. And as long as you're busy doing things, you're not able to listen well. So your Father in heaven isn't speaking well because you can't hear a whisper. And so you might not be sinning, but it doesn't matter because there's no active connection with your Father in heaven. Many of us need to see how Jesus modeled his actual life. That when he was here, he was so aware and so conscious of the people he did life with. And he was so in control of the volume and the pace of the life that he lived. Slow down. You need to rest in God more. Can we all stand up on our feet today? I'm gonna ask the team to sing that song. Can I just have us quiet our souls as we pursue a life like Jesus? If Jesus needed it, how much more do we need it? Sometimes it's not gonna be easy to practice this discipline. Culture wants to just keep pushing you faster and faster. Watch this documentary, listen to this podcast, watch this show, more. But at what point will we say, no more? I need time with my Father. My soul is overwhelmed and it's burdened and it's become so numbed that I don't even know if I feel alive anymore. I have so much and yet I feel nothing. I have 1,000 friends on Facebook and I have no one to go to. We're more connected than ever and yet we feel more isolated than ever. We need to disconnect and find a place to hear God. Can we all lift up our hands to heaven right now?